if you can't think out of the box here, you won't be doing it outside when you're working. The industry works on networking. One good project will land you 10 good projects, and one bad project will take away 100 more from you. I mean, you've seen me for a couple of years. How do you think I was as a student designer?
You were okay.
No employer will have the time to run through all your 20 projects.
Yeah.
He will run through only your first few pages of it. When you have a mentor as such in college or outside college, it's very important that you go speak to them. How to charge for your work, how to charge for material, how to charge for your bills.
It was COVID at that time when you started.
Yeah.
But now that you already have experience, what would you say to him?
What would I say to him is...
Don't talk that much is an advice that I will give to him. You've been an excellent senior. You've helped us whenever we've needed you, and you've always been there for us in case of any contingency in our project. So, because he was the only senior we had.
Yeah.
So now that I have also passed out and I am a senior, I know how it is to be in your shoes and how afraid it is to go to your first job and do your thesis and all of that. Hi guys, I'm Roshini, alumni from Dot School. I'm your host for today's podcast, Podcast Talks. Today we are here with one of my very dear friends and also an alumni from Dot. He graduated a year ago. Today we have with us Arihant.
Hello.
Hi Arihant.
Hello. Hi followers. Hi viewers.
Listeners also. So today's podcast is more about classroom to clients. So how is the student's journey from his college life to getting into the industry and going into client meetings and all of those things. So we'll be talking mostly about that. So Arihant, tell us, how was your thesis project? That was your last semester, right? So how was that?
Thesis, it was... So the project that I had taken was a hotel revamp project, or I would say not a revamp exactly, but a new project regarding to hotel. The sole challenge of the project was my previous semester project, which was also another hotel project, did not come through. The whole project was put to a question mark by the jurors. So I wanted to again challenge myself, experience that whole thing in the thesis setup with the, all those challenges and all of that. So that was what my thesis project was all about.
I think both your Sem 7 and your thesis project were of the same category. They were both hospitality.
Yes, both of them.
The way you approached both of them was very different, considering you're learning from the previous semester.
Yes. A lot of, in the future talks also, a lot of this 7th semester
will keep
coming in. So the major remark of the project was that I had not innovated in terms of design, which was true because we were focusing more on giving out production drawings and giving out, real-time designs rather than having to innovate and explore too much. So that was our challenge that we had in our mind when we started the 7th semester. But when the jurors came in, they gave us the point of view that this is probably your second last project. If you can't innovate here, if you can't ideate here, if you can't think out of the box here, you will definitely not do it in the real world, which was very true of them to, give me that criticism.
Yeah.
So that was a major reason why...
Realization as well.
In the 8th semester, I took up my hospitality project again, but in a different setup with different briefs and different, things and all of that.
I think your motive also in that project was to customize most of it. I remember you customizing even lamps and furniture and everything. Even though lampshades and lamps are seen as accessories, you still, went on to that key. I want this also to be a part of the concept and have relevance.
Yes, so that came in because of the passion, I would say. Right from the start of the, my whole
thesis.
Interior, or say, let's just say even thesis, the whole idea was to, every dot or say every line of the project should be customized, should have a meaning or should have some, some relevance to the project. So that is why, the lamps and the furnitures and the cushionings and all of it were, thought of.
Even motives and all of that was thought through.
Yes.
Circling back to innovation and all of that, like how you were told that it's very important in college that you explore as much as possible. Like my first ever interior jury, we had a juror come in and they were like, we want to see unpractical designs that you wouldn't be able to implement in real life. I think college is the time where you make stupid designs, where you make things that might not be able to be done, because once you get into the industry, you're not going to be able to do that at all.
True that. Even one of my earlier interior juries was of the same this thing, where I got a review that if you can't think out of the box here, you won't be doing it outside when you're working. So that was very initial jury that review that I had gotten, which was true. So that makes sense, because in college you don't have to answer anybody apart. So you can explore your freedom, you can explore your creative abilities, you can explore your innovative abilities and all of that. And college is the place.
There is no responsibility, there is no budget, there is no client.
Yes.
So you can go all haywire, as you want. So let's go a little back and let's talk about your background, and also how did you end up in interior design?
So I would say it's a very funny story, or some people find it funny at least. I was never into arts right from the start. I used to sketch and I used to paint with my sisters and with my brothers and all of them, but it was a very hobby kind of thing. I never thought of it to turn out or take creative field, or saw that as a passion or so.
As a profession.
Yes, as a profession, I never imagined it to be. So it was right about when I was, completing my schooling and when it was time to choose my college. I was very clear I never wanted to do the regular fields, the fields. My dad was very on my head saying that I had to become an accountant. For all his reasons, he could have been right, but I'm happy where I am now. So it was right about that time that when my schooling was getting done, my dad was getting our house built, and I for some reason took a lot of interest into the interiors and all of that, seeing everything come alive, like the flooring, the painting, taking decisions, like helping my dad with decisions on what colors could go well, what would look nice, what would not look nice. All of those decision making I started helping I started helping my dad out with. So somewhere it probably that was when I understood that this was my liking, and
I think that timing was right.
Yes.
Just before joining college you had that thing, and then were you always a creative person, or did it just start before the building and everything?
I guess my mom had genes. My mom was creative, obviously. A lot of our art that we still have in our house is mostly that my mom made before her marriage.
Okay.
While she was in her college or while she was doing her schooling, a lot of crochet things, a lot of mirror work and glass paint, all of those things that back then was a luxury, I feel. My mom was always into it, and somehow I guess I just got passed on with it, like I said. So.
Yeah, I think growing up the way you grow up also kind of dictates the way you look at design and all of those things. Also, going to the point that exposure, what you're exposed to is what shows in your design. So how do you get inspired for a project? How does that come along?
It's it's not something I can answer very quickly, but I would say, okay, let me put it in simpler words. I don't find, or at least I would say nobody finds inspiration when they look for an inspiration. It's like a simpler process, I would say, or what I follow is basically whenever I am traveling, or whenever I'm looking for an idea, or whenever I'm just sitting idle, or whenever just say I'm bathing or I'm in the washroom, whenever anything that pops out, I make sure that I make a note of it, either in the form of a sketch or in the form of writing or briefing or in any way. And when it comes back to, when I actually need an inspiration for a project, I try to source back to these things. Say, if I find an answer to them, I might not. But it's always good to have that library, so that this might not help you in any particular situation, but knowing that you have a source of your own self, in the future, it might definitely help you out somewhere.
Being inspired, I don't think is a concrete process. It's just in the flow, travel, experiences and all of that, culture. You just take down points
Things,
and then you
yes.
just, the very important thing is to note down, because when you have a problem and you like are looking for a solution, you might not find a solution, but maybe somewhere around down the lane it might definitely
Yes, and when you
help you.
start noting it down, there's always, I don't know if it's a fact or anything, but when you start noting anything down, it always stays in the back of your mind.
Yeah. So now let's go out of college, or even in college. What was like your first work experience?
My first work experience, obviously, like how everyone must have had, is my internship.
I think that is a very funny segment of
How
college.
hard did you find it to find an internship?
Mine was very hard. I mean, I think for anybody looking for an internship in between college, I feel like it's very important to have a list of companies that you would want to go to. Like making your portfolio already is a tough task because it's your first time making something and you feel that your project's not good enough. So you already have that stress. I mean, that time, I don't think you should have another stress of like, what company will I find and all of that. So having a prior set of companies that you want is, I feel, always good. My take on the internship was that I wanted to learn as much as I can, because I look at internship as an opportunity where you are getting your work experience, A. B, you can make mistakes and nobody can question you because you are in your learning phase. The company or the mentor can't come and be like, you're a professional, you're a designer, because I am not. I'm a student who's learning. Now, that doesn't mean you be very irresponsible with your actions, but it's just that you still have that tiny liberty to make your mistakes and be like, sir, I'm just learning. So that one. So my take on that was to go to a company where I would learn a lot of things. That's why I majorly applied only for startups.
Huh.
Because there wouldn't be hierarchies. It'll just be me and that person. It was too much for me, but I definitely learned a lot. The reality of industry, I think.
True, I would say, when you're working in a startup, you obviously learn a lot because you don't have a fixed task that you have to work on. You will be, one day you'll be running to a site and the other day you'll be sitting on your desk working, and then you have to run to the site again. So that's
It's
very nice.
like bits and pieces of everything.
Yes.
Like one thing to keep in mind when you're interning is to be vocal that I want to learn everything.
Yes.
Now, just because you're an intern doesn't mean you can be inferior and not talk about it. You can go to the mentor and be like, sir, I want to learn this. I want to be at meetings. I want to take the minutes of the meeting or anything of that sort. So I think...
Which is actually a very good point, I would say. I would say, even the internship experience that I have had was definitely a very good experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, I take up as internship in a different way. So for me, internship was a way of just exploring the work of field.
Right.
Say like how you've said you wanted to learn as
A
much.
lot.
For me, it was to know if, because it's still your college time. I took up in a modular interior firm. So, I just wanted to explore see if modular interiors was my task. And giving only 6 months to it, or say 4-5 months to it as an internship will not harm me in any way. So, that is how I have taken my internship as well, because obviously now that I've done a modular interior internship, I know that I'm not going back to modular interior.
Like you just have to know that is this for me or not.
Yes.
And the fact that you can get a taste of it for 3 months and be like, no boss, not working. So I think that liberty, we have to take advantage of.
Yes, and the second point that you mentioned that a lot of people don't do or are hesitant to do is ask for jobs.
Yeah, please ask for it.
Yes, because even when I was working, initially I would say, probably the first 1 month that when I was learning how the office works, I had not, raised my voice about it. But this moment 1 month was over, my boss, who I call him Abhishek only, he never asked us to call him a sir or boss. He himself started, putting up, responsibilities on our heads. He never looked at us interns. We were 2 interns and he never looked both of us as interns.
Yeah.
We both of us handled separate clients. We did meetings by all ourselves. All we had to do was every day we had to just brief Abhishek up, with whatever work had been done and whatever talks were there with the client. For me, I never had to ask for it.
Yeah.
But it is very important for people who are interns, who are doing their first job experience. It is very important, I feel, to ask for work. Ask people, that you want to sit in a meeting. Ask people that you want to go to the site. Ask, learn things. Go to the markets with your elder designers or senior designers. Go learn with them. That's how you will learn. That's how you will get to know more also about the industry. Sitting on a desk
is not gonna help you. Yeah. Unless and until you're going to tell them or show them that you are eager to learn, they wouldn't know because they don't know how you were as a student. They're just looking at you, in the company. So I feel like you have to make sure that they know that I want to learn. That is one thing. What was your realization when you went into industry and you were like, this was not there in college? I did not know this in college.
I'd say the very first thing that came to realization was, how do you speak to a client in a way that you understand their needs, their wants, their functionality in terms of interiors. So to know how to speak with them, to get to extract that knowledge out of a client was the first realization that was very different from what was there in college. Because in college we prepare our own briefs, or briefs are given to us.
Yeah.
But when you're in with a client today might come say something to you, and the same client tomorrow will come say something else to you. But that is how the industry works. Not all clients are easy to go with. So that was the first realization, I would say. And it's a very good realization that I've had with the client.
That you've had much earlier itself, because the earlier we have that realization, I feel like the better. I think give and take. I think the client also should have to understand to let the designer work.
Yes, sometimes it's nice so that your client is more sorted in terms of design.
Yeah.
When he says that, what I mean by that is that if the client knows what he wants and what are his preferences, what is his functionality needs and all of that, that is a much easier client to work with than someone who doesn't know anything and is just giving you an open canvas. I feel
an open canvas is okay, but there should be a leading point that this is my end destination, of something. It need not be crystal clear, but I think it at least has to be vague, so that even when they give you or send you Pinterest references, you know what they want from those references.
Yes.
I think a client should be vocal about that.
If it's at least by the basic, is to know what his functionality needs are.
Yeah.
So if he knows that, it makes the designer's job as easy as possible. He could be a pestering client or a non-pestering client, that doesn't matter. If he knows his needs, he's a very good client to handle.
You've had multiple work experiences. One was during your internship, and then one you have working under somebody, and then you also have a very vast area which is freelancing, and that is a very, very important kind of working in the design field, which many people take up. My personal opinion on that would be networking is key.
Yes.
Otherwise you're not going to get your clients. If freelancing is your only source of income, networking is key, and the word of mouth is also very, very important. So the kind of work you do, the kind of relationship you have with your client is what they're going to be telling other people, and that's how you're going to land your projects.
100%.
Yeah.
The industry works on networking.
Word of mouth is everything, almost.
One good project will land you 10 good projects, and one bad project will take away 100 more from you. So it's always about networking and how passionate about your design. So
for somebody you had a good experience in freelancing more than working. So for somebody getting into freelancing, for me, I haven't done freelancing at all. So when I am a client is approaching me, I have to make sure that they see some value in me, and they should know that, especially because I am not under some company, they should know that I am also of some value and I can also produce work. So how do you present yourself, and how do you make sure that you are also important?
Since you brought freelancing, this one thing out of topic that I want to very clearly mention is, what happens with freelancers, or as myself, when I started freelancing, was I wanted to take up every job that I had.
Okay.
In any case, if the client, even if the client had, demotivated me or did not believe in me, or, I was all behind getting more projects. Sooner or later, it came to my realization that was not the whole point.
learning to say no
is a very good thing. If you don't feel good about the project, you don't feel good about the project, you can say a no. It's not necessary that you take up on every project. Coming back to your point, obviously when as myself, I am a very new freelancing designer. Word of mouth is very important, and how you make them believe is again coming back to be your portfolio, the knowledge that you have learned in your college, the knowledge that you have learned from your work is very important. Because in a lot of earlier conversations with the client, you will talk a lot about the materials or projects that you have earlier worked on. And how do you make any person believe in you is you pour out your knowledge about it, the right knowledge that you have.
Make sure that they know that you know something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is very important. Obviously, portfolios come in, your freelancing portfolios and all of that. But when you're let's say when you're working on a first project, what matters is how you convince a client in terms of the knowledge that you have. In your initial discussion, let's say the client might just say talk about a living room. You guys must be discussing a living room. But how do you enhance the living room from the knowledge that you have heard or from what you have learned in college? Is what gonna help you make the client understand that you know something and will help you land a project. So
I think also like setting boundaries to an extent and also negotiating, convincing. Like in the start, obviously you can't be all upright and do that, but somewhere in between, you also have to make sure that they know that this is how much I can work, this is how much I can do, and you should also respect that.
Yes.
I think that is lacking in many freelancing.
Having clarity in terms of work and having flexibility in terms of work is very important. Clarity, I would say, is again, you need to know where on to which extent will you be working, what are your goals, what are your deliverables, and obviously anybody who's a freelancing designer would want to earn from his first project, even a bit or a thing. So it's very important that you make sure with the client, you clear it out with the client that these are my deliverables, because in most of the cases, in terms of deliverables, it becomes very haywire. Whereas you've not put in the word that you'll only be a consulting designer and not a full-time interior designer.
Like a set contract or set rules as to these are my responsibilities, these are your responsibilities
is very important. It's very professional and is very important to any freelancing designer.
Like that also shows how much you know your work.
Yes.
That you're also not like not aware or not this thing about what I want to do. Like you're very clear that this is what I can do and this is what you can expect.
Yes. In terms of you're also setting your professionalism and not showing your desperation.
Yeah, that is true. And learning to say no.
Yes.
That is very, very important. So in the design process, with the client, let's talk about with the client, how important is risk taking? Like sometimes you go a notch up and convince the client when you know that there's a 50-50 chance this will work, but the designer inside you like, dude, I want to do this. So like that's a risk. So how do you do that?
It's a very nice thing to talk about it. I don't know. I can't give you a direct answer to it, but let me give you an example for it. So in a very recent project that I was working on, from where last I was working, the client is a South Indian who lives in Kolkata. So she is making her house here in Chennai, but she was gonna come visit us in November. She was gonna, move here in November. So we were doing her house up. So her idea was very simple. She wanted a very clean house, but she definitely wanted some touch of, traditionality or some kind of highlights in every space. So the whole, so we thought, let's try out flooring patterns. Let's do something new with the flooring, keeping in mind the client's budget. Initial ideas was to find source highlighter tiles and then just do different patterns of
inlay or something.
Inlays and patterns of it. But then, one risk that we took up there was we went for a very low quality local tile. We took up that. We just got confidence from the client that we're trying out something new. what we did in all of these rooms was we started playing with broken tiles. Broken tiles, that is a long gone tradition that we used to have in our grandma's houses,
Yeah,
is coming
terrazzo.
up now. So we started using broken tiles in different colors, in patterns. We started making patterns of flowers and waves and different patterns in broken tiles in a highlighter patch in their rooms. To our surprise, the client
Liked
was here
it.
earlier. They were here in March. They saw the space and we got immediately call, and they were really happy to see how the spaces have come out. It has a touch of fun to it. It has a touch of traditionality to it. It has, and it livens up
It's
the
unique.
space.
I think that's what excites every client.
Yes. And
Yeah.
the fact that we took up that risk was a big this thing. And to the fact that the client was also liked it, we were super happy that we took up that risk. So it depends, when you
This can go either way.
yes.
It's just
we've
how
had good
luck
experiences
turns out.
with risks. So
Yeah. So coming back to design process and everything, how were you as a student designer, and how has your process changed when you were in school, like college, and when you're like working?
I mean, you've seen me for a couple of years. How do you think I was as a student designer?
You were okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so that is what I was. If I see myself back down the lane, I will consider myself as a very common student designer. And I'm not ashamed of it or anything, because
We all learn. Like we were
Yes.
students. So yeah.
I would say why I would say that is because when I when I completed my college, when I got into the industry, when I saw people's portfolios and people's everything, people, their works that they've done and everything, they had explored too much.
Too much. Yeah.
That was humongous things that they've done. They were obviously people who were ordinary as me as well. They were people who just did simpler projects, who were understanding the design for all of those these things. But I was a very say okayish designer, but I was very proud of it that at least I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I never stopped learning. I was, even with my faculties and even with anybody, I also, even with my juniors and everyone, it was never that I could stop learning.
Curiosity
it
shouldn't
was always
die.
there.
It should always be there.
Yes.
And in an industry that's developing and bringing out new things
day.
every day, you have to be updated, which means you have to be open to learning a lot. But
Yes.
as a junior who's looked up to you as a senior, in your design process, I think one thing that stood out to me is the importance of sketching, that many people look over. They start with an idea that this is my mood or theme, and then they straight up go to designing. Now this might work for some, it's not like it won't, but a key step that many people miss is sketching. When I was in a semester where I wasn't sketching enough, you kind of I think you came up and amended a lot, and then I was like, dude, we have to sketch. That is very, very important. And with tools like Procreate and everything coming up, for people who are not comfortable with paper, you can anytime
Digital
go
sketching,
and do
yes.
digital sketching. So
I mean, sketching for any designer, not just be an
Is key.
interior, from any field is very important. I mean, some people consider it a way of just sketching down ideas. For some people, it could just be, a way of letting out your thoughts. It could, very well help with that as well. You not necessarily you will have to always sketch an idea. You can always sit somewhere and just sketch anything that is in front of you. In an ideal day, I would say sketching definitely has helped a lot.
yeah.
Sketching initially, I would say, when in the foundation, in my initial year when I was doing my foundation course, we used to we were told to sketch in newspapers, the bigger circles,
The
we used to do-
dots,
Yes.
the squares.
When we used to go back into our groups and we were like, what is this, why are we doing this, to bitch and all of that. But then later we came to understand the importance of it. It's just a way of expressing your idea. when you're doing it, digitally, say on a 3D software, you're always limiting your options. But when you have that on a sketch, you can explore at least, I would say, 10 times better than from what you're doing it on a software.
Because a sketch might be a vague idea, but at least you know that this is what you want and this is how it's gonna look.
And it always also saves time, I would say, because anything if you start modeling, even from a smallest furniture, it might take up at least a day or two
to perfect it,
to do it. And then if when you're sketching, it will hardly take you 2 hours, and if you can very well understand the functionality, if it works or not, and you can always take the help of a senior designer or a colleague or anyone. With the help of a sketch, you can ask them if that would work or not.
I mean, if your modeling skill is still noob level,
yes,
sketching will help you a lot, because you at least have an idea. You can anytime go to a senior, anytime, like even outsource. Like outsourcing is not wrong, but for the right reasons, obviously.
Yes, and with sketching, the thing is, it's never rookie level or pro level. Sketch is just a sketch.
Yeah.
Even on some days, or even today, some days I might not be up to good sketching, but it's just that the idea is conveyed. That is more than enough of a good sketch.
And at the end of a project, it kind of gives you a very nice evolution.
Yes.
Of like, this is how it sprouted. From here, I made it stand, then made it better.
Yes.
So I think that documentation for any project, even a very teeniest project, the evolution of how your idea kind of developed is very important, because when you look back, after like 2-3 years, you learn so much. You look into a lot of mistakes that you've done. So I think
documenting your sketches is also
that is very, very important.
Because maybe the sketch might not go to the bin today. But if you've documented it well, the same might help you out in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or whenever it's there. So it's always nice.
So let's kind of break from the question answer format. Let's do something fun. Okay, we'll do the very cliche rapid fire for the podcast, but definitely related to interior design. So you will have to answer rapidly. That's why it's called a rapid fire.
Cool.
So studio or site?
Studio.
Most used tool, SketchUp or Sketchbook?
SketchUp.
SketchUp?
Yes.
That's surprising. Okay. A chaotic jury or a chaotic client?
Chaotic jury.
I mean, jury's done and dusted, so but you have your masters coming up, so that's there. First thing you notice when you enter a space?
Empty walls.
Design trend you wish would disappear?
Minimalism.
Okay, so we have a maximalist with us. If not a designer, what would have been?
Definitely an accountant.
Weekend side days or all-nighter deadlines?
All-nighter deadlines.
Very nice rapid fire. It was very rapid, as he had promised. Let's dive into the student aspect of it. Building your portfolio is something that stresses out a lot of students, and half the time you don't have an idea as to how do I build a portfolio. I mean, I have my work, I know I have to document it, but how do I make it to a industry standard? Like, from your experience of making a portfolio for an internship, for your work, and now getting onto your masters, so you've probably made 3 renditions of your portfolio. So let's talk about that.
Okay. So one thing that you have to very clearly understand is, in your portfolio, it's not necessary to add all your projects in your portfolio. You must have worked on 20 projects, and it's not necessary, at least in the initial phase, to add all the 20 projects in your portfolio. A good portfolio, my mentor had taught me this. Even if you're adding only 4 projects, those 4 projects should be of the right worth.
They have to speak for themselves.
Because your portfolio is what is expressing you, is what is representing you to that firm. So if you're portraying those 4 projects, be very clear with the briefs of the 4 projects, with what you're delivering in all those 4 projects. And those 4 projects are more than enough for them to represent. Funnily enough, again, in a very fun perspective, that he told me that no employer will have the time to run through all your 20 projects.
Yeah.
He will run through only your first few pages of it. And
we've heard this, that a recruiter only looks at your portfolio for a minimum of 8 to 10 seconds, not more than that.
That's a little less. I would say 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay.
Depends. 3 to 4 minutes is a good time. And
They scroll through, like they
Yes.
don't read. So your
Yes.
visuals play a very important aspect, and also how you align and your all those things to like not disturb the eye.
I would not go into alignment because every person will have a different
Different.
aspect to it. But you will have to be very clean and clear in your portfolio. Even if, like I mentioned, if you're portraying only 4 projects, there has to be some kind of a motion and some kind of a story in every project that you have put in.
Yeah.
Say if you put in 3 pages of one project, those 3 pages should only keep moving forward. Like you should explain your process rightly, you should explain your briefs rightly, you should explain your deliverables rightly, you should explain your anything else that you've missed out should be there, put up rightly forward. So
For an entry level or even for an internship, I feel variety is important in a portfolio. Variety as in showing your skill as a strength in each project.
That is
one
definitely.
project might not have renders, but you like really concentrate on the detailing, your production drawings and everything. One project might be a little here and there with the drawings, but that will be really concept oriented and renders. So showcasing your skill equally and showing them what you're good at in a portfolio is, I feel, very
it's
important.
very important. 100% true. 100%.
Because that is what they see, like that's what they learn from that, what is this person about.
Like in your internship, the employer must, he is not expecting you to be, a great level innovator.
Yeah.
He's just expecting you to be a very good designer, a very good, expresser of what you've been thinking of your design capabilities. That is more than enough, for an employer, as I would say.
So, I mean, your college life is kind of done, but you have a new chapter of college life that's coming along.
Yeah.
So you've taken a choice of becoming a student again. So you were a student, you worked for a year or 2, and then now you want to do a master. So
Yes.
for somebody who wants to venture into that, how did you go about it?
So there are 2 perspectives. Either you continue studying once you're done with your bachelor's, you move on to your master's. And one you do is you continue, you complete your first bachelor degree, you work for a while, understand the industry, and then you move out to your master's, which is what I did. I'll tell you, I can quickly pinpoint pros and cons of both. Let's say if I'm doing all my education together, first thing is that you are very new, your mind is still new, fresh when you're entering your masters. And most of the people who have studied, then worked, and then thought of masters has not done that. Because once you've seen the taste of money, once you've started buying things for your own self with your own money,
Might not want to go back.
you somehow start or step into a little comfortable life or a comfort zone. So that is when then you think, why do I need a master's if I'm earning well now? That is when that depends on everybody's mindset. I was right from the start very clear that I always wanted a master's degree in any field. But my mentor Yoganand had pushed me, which was right, I would say, to let me do masters right after my bachelor's. But due to unforeseen reasons, I was not able to go through it. My visa didn't come through, and a couple of other problems. Then I had to wait for a year, which is still a very good thing because I went into working in a firm which was where I wanted to work into a field that I wanted to work into, learn sustainable interior design, sustainable methods, natural materials, raw materials, local materials, all of those things I learned about, which was a very good experience that I would not take away from. But then since right from the start, my mentor had put into it that you will not go into masters once you see the money. That always was there in the back of my mind while I was working as well, which is why exactly right after a year I'm now moving abroad for masters. Yes.
So you're kind of deviating from the field for your masters. I mean, you've told me that you want to get back to the field eventually, definitely. But the masters is about product and furniture design that you're getting in.
So I would not say deviating, it's just additional knowledge. No knowledge is deviating.
It's not going to go waste.
Yes. So I was very confused because I was very invested, very interested in learning smaller products, furnitures, lightings, decor, and all of those things.
I mean, they kind of make up interior design. So to know that
and
small
you've been
things.
taught that in interior design, but then there are larger things in interior design as well. So I have always thought I will do masters in furniture design or alone. But very interestingly, it came up that my mentor told me, see, furniture design is a part of both product design and interior design.
It's
You
somewhere in
learn the
between.
interior design part of it. Why do you want to learn just furniture now? Let's try product design. So you have one part of this and one part of this, and you're just combining when you're
Both.
working in furniture, which is actually very good because let's say I don't make it into furniture design. I always have a very good backup knowledge of product design that will help me in the future course. And it can obviously happen. I can always obviously move into a different field if I don't like it. So that is why, I would not say I'm deviating from my field. It's just that I'm taking a different path to come back to my field, which is product design degree.
So there are design hotspots around the world. Like we have New York and Paris for fashion,
Yes.
Italy for design. So you have chosen to go to Italy for
Yes.
your masters. So how did we do that decision? Like
I mean, see, once you open up the web, there are
millions of
million
options.
million options you have. The first thing I would say to do is to speak to someone who's who's
Had
been
that
to abroad,
experience,
who's had an experience with foreign colleges and all of that. The same process that I did. Yoganand again was who was my mentor, who pushed me, who approached me, who himself let me know about colleges, different colleges that were there. He helped me find different colleges. I used to go up to him with all different colleges, asking him if this is right or this is not. And he used to explain me that the college will never be wrong about it. There's always a right college, but the college will be right only for a particular field. Like how you mentioned, New York and Paris is good for fashion. And Italy is good for product design, which is a very basic thing. So you need to understand that what do you want to venture into. For someone like me who's always wanting to get into product and furniture design, Italy or Milan or London by far is the best place to learn. For someone who's into branding, who's into marketing, or someone who's
New
into
York is the
fashion
place,
design, New York and Paris is a very good place to learn into. There are definitely colleges elsewhere. Then comes your family financial conditions and all of those that you need to take place into. So there's always a lot of options, but you always can't decide upon yourself. You need to have someone elder or some colleague or someone who can guide you this way.
I mean, for a fresh mind, mentors are very important,
important.
to guide you in the right path, because you have the information, you just don't know where to go and how to go. And I think at DOT, with the industry experts that we have in college, they kind of like navigate you through it, and I feel it's wonderfully worked.
Definitely. One such person I would say is from college itself was Yoganand, definitely. Apart from him, Balram sir, who's a very renowned faculty now.
We're very lucky to have him in our campus.
He, so when I got into RCA, I had a chat with him. He explained, things, how it works in there, how there are things that you need to know, like how is going to be the lifestyle there, how is going to call the college going to be there, how are you going to how do you have to learn, how do you have to extract information, how do you have to go to talk to your professors, and all of those things. All those small it could be smaller things, but then these things matter. So when you have a mentor as such in college or outside college, it's very important that you go speak to them. And it could be anybody. It could be a friend who's now living abroad. They definitely have a better information, better knowledge, and they can give you about it.
Like, considering our mentors in college are themselves working in the industry and everything, they also in your student life itself give you a glimpse as to what the industry is, what do they expect out of you. They treat you like professionals, you treat them like professionals. For anybody like, I would say exploit your resources, use your mentors, extract how much ever information you can from them, because they are in the industry, they know the truth,
Yes.
they know the reality of it, because you are just having an assumption as a student. You're just assuming from what you're seeing, like in social media, in websites and all of that, but they know what actually like goes on. So to like learn from them, to have talks with them, go to them with the strangest ideas, randomest ideas, but I feel like they will be able to help you, and that's a very good advantage here.
Yeah,
at Dot.
absolutely. I can't deny one fact about it, because it has definitely helped me, get into where I've gotten into now. It has helped me get better opportunities as well.
Yeah.
So, no denial from the fact that it is, always good to have exposure from your faculties in, college.
So mentors are one, but you also have your classmates, your your juniors and your seniors. How was it with them? Like, were there, instances where you've learned from your juniors and seniors, or you've been inspired, you've helped them, things like that? I mean, you've definitely helped me being your junior. You've definitely helped a lot in most of our, times where we've been stuck and we'll be like, bro, what do we do? So you've been like that. So how much do you think is student life in a campus? I feel it's very important.
I mean, it's
No deny.
I don't want to deny, but it's definitely the most important part. A very good example of it is, I would say, is it's not just with your own department or with your own juniors and seniors that you need to have a relationship with.
Interdepartment.
It is definitely, since when you're in a college where it is interdisciplinary and all types of design fields come at under one roof, it is very important that you work in hand with, or it's just discussions that you have with your friends from other departments, and all of those things definitely matter. Because I will say a very good example about right about when it was my thesis project. A friend of mine who's in the same year, communication design, was doing a short film. So he approached me with a very interesting task, which is also actually a part of interior design, but I would have not done, if I had, started working, or if I was in the industry, I would have not taken up that job. But since I was in college and I had the, leisure,
you could afford to like go and explore that.
Yes, and given the opportunity by him, I took up a job of set direction, which is a very fun thing.
Yeah.
You do a lot of things here and there. You understand how a film is also being made. So later in the future, I might take up the job of a set director or not. But then it was still nice to have that experience, and that experience came by being interdisciplinary, having an interdisciplinary friend, all of that. So it's very important to have a student life with your juniors and seniors as well. You learn every single day. I can, sometimes you guys, obviously juniors will be more updated with some softwares. So learning software skills from you is just one part of learning. There are so many different things that we might miss out that you guys will then know about. Talking with your juniors or seniors or anybody from any department is very important.
I think the interdepartment thing is kind of like rooted in us since the beginning, because foundation we're all together.
Yes.
And even till your third year, your seventh semester, you always have classes with the other department. So that kind of always you stay in touch with these people. So that kind of, I think that's that.
But it's a good thing that in the first year you're not divided based on your discipline.
You learn the design basics, which is there for all streams of design. Like sketching is just one part of it, but all the other things. We'll do just like a small chit chat thing. So there's this segment called One Thing. Okay. So this need not be rapid. You can also like explain on these answers. I'll just be shooting questions at you. One digital design tool you cannot do without in your process.
SketchUp.
Okay. But I thought CAD will be the answer, because CAD is like the...
CAD definitely, but then CAD is very monotonous.
Right. One material that never bores you.
Wood.
Wood, for me, I would say it's micro concrete, because the way it can like be very flexible and all of that. I feel like micro concrete is very versatile. Wood also, there are so many options with wood.
I mean, more than just options, it's just how even with one material, you can build a house with a wood.
Yeah.
I mean, right from the structure to the interiors to the decor, everything, and it will still make sense. So
Yeah.
I definitely would this one thing.
One tool you wish to master.
Digital sketching.
That is such a pain for people who are so comfortable with hand sketching. Like, I sketch a decent amount, he also sketches a decent amount. When he got his iPad, I wanted to give a try at it. I just wanted to draw an apple, and I was like, why do I suck at this so much?
It's
It's a skill on its own, I think. Like, it's very difficult to like get a hang of it in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, where someone who's used to a rough paper and a pen and a pencil, it becomes hard. But over the time, you learn, I guess, and mastering it is nice because that makes your sketching life much more easier.
Yeah, and documenting your sketches when it's digital is like 100 times
100 times
easier
yes.
than doing paper sketches.
Yes,
That's like a one big advantage. One thing you carry on site without fail.
My iPad. Now it has become more eternal to me because right from noting down things to sketching ideas to showing presentations to showing ideas, everything becomes handy.
Yeah. It's always like a thing you carry around with you to a client or a carpenter or anybody. It just becomes very easy. For me, it would be a tape. I cannot do anything without a measuring tape.
I mean, now there are digital tapes that I can do it with iPad, but then accuracy becomes...
We are not digital people.
Yeah, accuracy becomes a thing.
Yeah. One trend that you think is too overhyped.
Overhyped.
Minimalism, guys. Luxury.
See, minimalism, more than it being overhyped, I would say is overused. Overused, I would say. Overhyped, I'm not... I don't think so. Any such style or any such trend could be overhyped. If it's put to right use, it can.
In the industry, I feel like once you end up looking at projects that all look similar, that's when you know that this one thing is being used, too much.
Too much, yeah.
But coming back to the minimalism luxury part of it, like taking Dubai as an example, all houses there look the same because it's all minimal, it's all luxury, mainly because they import stuff and they get the same stuff. But in India, customization is our biggest power. We customize even the smallest things in residences.
100%.
So I think we have to make big use of our craftsmen, our labor, and all of that. One underrated type of space that designers need to give more attention to. For me, it's the washrooms.
Yes.
Please design your washrooms well. If your washrooms are designed well, it will change
the
whole thing.
I mean, washrooms are not just tiles.
It's not just to loo. It's a whole another thing.
Yes. Washrooms, definitely, I would say again, washrooms are the
for me, it's washrooms.
Underrated. And the most overrated, you may not ask, but I would say is cafes.
Cafes are saturated.
We're now starting an era where we're overdoing cafes now. I feel. So.
Trying to come up with different concepts and everything, but it's like you zero down to the same thing.
Yeah.
Going back to washrooms, as much as I'm sorry I'm talking about this in detail, but how many times have we gone to a restaurant or something? You enter the washroom and you're disappointed.
Yeah.
You're like, bro, your place looks so good. You forgot your washroom. So in residences, even when your client says, nah, that's okay. No, it's not okay. Please pay attention to those. And public spaces also.
Public washrooms, definitely public. Japan, has this whole culture. It is called museums of washrooms.
Okay.
So all their public washrooms have a particular theme to it, and they have been designed in such a way, which is a very, very fascinating thing. From outside it may just look like a washroom.
Yeah.
But the way that they've put thought to it is such a nice thing, and I think that should come to India. Yeah.
We're coming to the end of the episode. We'll just have 2-3 stuff that you want to talk about. What do you think is the biggest thing that you wish college had taught you when you entered the industry?
Bills, accounts, pays.
That's the I think segment that isn't talked about when you're a student.
Yeah.
So also because you're very young and you're like, people might think that you might not have it. But when you get your first freelance client, especially, it's a nightmare because you don't know how to charge them and like on what basis.
Definitely.
I think
Because see, in college, everywhere else, I mean, other than that, you pretty much learn everything right from the first step of the process to the last step. All you don't learn is how to charge. How to charge for your work, how to charge for material, how to charge for your bills. There is a segment for it, but it's not done in detail with every project.
Yeah.
Once that is done in detail with every project, it becomes, a very life-changing thing because you get to know if the work that you have done is being rightly charged.
It's
or
also
not.
your worth at some
Yes.
point.
And the other thing that I would say is how to extract, how do you speak to your clients? How do you get information from your clients? How do you, convert the conversations that you have had with people into ideas, innovations, and needs and wants.
Jury is just, I feel like a starter point for that.
Yes.
How you express and like educate the other person on your design who's from the field. But here you're talking to somebody who isn't from the field and who's here to do their needs. So how do you not overwhelm them is also
with
something.
college, I feel I will not say it's a drawback, it's a thing that the college is bringing up now, is bringing in live projects. Because once you start bringing in live projects, you start getting people to speak with, you start getting in clients to deal with real-time projects. So that will change the whole course of a student's life.
You get a sneak peek into how it actually
Yes.
works while still being a student and doing all these things.
Yes.
Definitely. So, coming to the end of the episode, what would you say to Arihant, who was like a week to start college, like a week before starting college? It was COVID at that time when you started.
Yeah.
We had online classes in the beginning. You had your house built, you were excited and interested. But now that you already have experience, what would you say to him?
What would I say to him is...
Don't talk that much is an advice that I will give to him.
I feel I would say myself, to my younger self, is that explore more. Go beyond what you see on the web.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was a very ordinary designer. That is solely not because I'm comparing myself to others, but also because I did not at places go out of the box. I was very practical minded. I was, if that was not practically made in a real time situation, why would I design that? Was what my college life pretty much was about. I would say definitely go away from that. Explore as much as possible. If you want to bring in clouds into your house, bring in clouds into your house.
I still remember my first jeweler, she told, show me a pool inside the living room. Like, I know it is not possible, but I want to see such kind of designs.
Yes.
So,
someday or the other, you might get in a client who wants a pool in a living room. So yes, that would be the note to my, because other than that, I am pretty happy about myself, how I've come out of college, how I've grown, how I've expanded myself, and how I've now moving to the next phase of my life also. So the only thing that now I will also take into the next phase of my life is that I will go out of the box.
Yeah.
I don't want to stay inside the box. I want to bloody freaking. I would also want to go out of the classroom of the box.
Yeah.
Think of things that will not work and make it to work.
Yeah.
That is one thing that
I mean, you've been an excellent senior. You've helped us whenever we've needed you, and you've always been there for us in case of any contingency in our project. So you've always been like this brainiac that we've wanted to exploit, because he was the only senior we had.
Yeah.
So now that I have also passed out and I am a senior, it kind of I know how it is to be in your shoes and how afraid it is to go to your first job and like, do your
Yeah.
thesis and all of that. So yeah, it's been great having you on this
Definitely.
episode, covering things from industry to classrooms to how you started design. That's it for this today's episode, guys. It was great having Arihant on our show.
It was pleasure coming. It was a very, something that I've always done in closed quarters, I would say, with amongst 4 people. Now having to do the same conversation
Yeah.
here with you is, definitely no better person I could do this with also.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thanks for
you.
listening. Oh boy.